Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another morning scan. Today's date is October 2nd, 2018. And I'm sorry I haven't made one of these in a while. I've actually been extremely sick. I had a really bad throat ache, as well as I couldn't really speak for long periods of time. So I really apologize for that. You could possibly still hear all of the congestion as I'm speaking now, so I apologize for that. But nonetheless, let's get to it and get to the charts here. So first of all, I just want to present to you my intraday chart, okay? Because this has been actually holding up very, very well, considering all of the downward pressure and just all of the chop. So how do I want to start this here? You know what? Let's start with the daily first. I lied. Okay, so I mentioned to you guys that I really don't care about the intraday price action, and that's because we're kind of stuck in the middle of the one-day resistance and the range high. Okay, so this is all chop, really, at the end of the day. None of the price action in between this area is beneficial. Right, like you could scalp it here and there for a few points, but really at what cost? What's really the point? It's just way safer to sit on the sidelines and wait for more clear setups. So we were short. Let me check. Okay, I'm making sure I can open that. So we were short from, I believe it was 65.77. Yeah, 60. No, this is whatever. It's somewhere in here. We were short 65.77, and I did close it before I went to sleep, as well as the Ethereum short, and that's basically because and the Ripple short, and that's because I didn't feel comfortable having any open positions overnight, just because of how choppy it's been, and I wasn't able to watch price action, of course, so I just didn't feel like it was worth it. Of course, it would still be in profit now, but I just don't think it's worth it, really. So anyway, the daily, what I'm looking for is a close below the one-day resistance is bearish, close above the range high is bullish. It's very simple. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm waiting for until I really start putting in some very large trades and just doing my normal trading. Let me take a sip of coffee. So overall, there's really good arguments for bulls and bears, which is why it's kind of hard to tell which direction it's going to go. But overall, I'm leaning more bearish, and that's because really of the current market, right? We're in a bear trend, so why wouldn't you be shorting all of these bounces at the end of the day, right? There's no sign that the bear market is over by any means. So at the end of the day, everyone's thought should be bearish. But it is bullish that we have held above the one-day resistance for the last 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 days. And on the intraday chart, I can show you why else it's bullish. It's also bullish because we haven't revisited this gap right here. So below 65.09, we haven't gone back here again. But, you know, I do think it looks a little bit bullish, at least on the intraday chart, because what I'm looking at is, okay, look at all of these wicks, right? You could argue that these were stop hunts, whatever you want to say. You could say that this is the most profound stop hunt right here, right? So all of these stops from the gap or below 6,500 were taken with this wick. So ideally, you would want to see a push up, right, to clear those stops. But we haven't really seen a clear of these stops. Let me put magnet on. Of course, my trading view is slow. Okay. So we haven't seen a raid of these stops yet. So, I mean, that's what I would look for personally. But the bulls really just don't have the volume. It's pretty pathetic, the volume that we're seeing now. But that would be my next. If this was at any other level, this would be my analysis, right? So I'm not really looking at the price points right now. I'm just looking at the structure and the price action. And what I see is higher low, stops taken, higher low, rejected after the second attempt, Now, basically, think of it as a reset button. So you have stop staking again, attempt at the bottom of the red box, rejected, but it's still being held up by the 0.79 fib. Let me pull a double fib here. So that's going to be tough resistance to 65.40 area. Because of the double fib, it's 0.5 and then 0.705 on the higher time frames. So that will be tough, but I mean, that's what I would shoot for, right? So ideally, how you would play this is, okay, it pumps up, takes these stops, gets rejected, retests the top of the red. That's going to be strong support for sure. Top of the red or bottom of the red. In here will be strong support. So what you will see is a pump up, a retest, and then the real explosion. But until then, there's really no clear direction. But, I mean, intraday, that's what I would be looking for. That's what I would, if this was at any other price point, that's what I would ideally like to see happen. There's also an argument that, okay, there's a lot of lower wicks. That's bullish because there's a lot of demand under here, which I can understand that argument as well. But, that demand eventually is going to dry up. And when will that demand dry up? Right? That's the biggest question right now. But I think I went over that well enough. But I've said this multiple times in the Discord. Stay out of Bitcoin right now. Especially if you're looking for a swing trade position, definitely stay out. There is absolutely no point in trading this chop. And I constantly tell you guys that protecting your capital is more important than really taking any trade. Because if you don't have your capital, you can't even enter into trades. So just remember to protect that capital. Because you're bored, don't enter into a trade and all of that good stuff. But let's take a look at Ethereum. I'm sure will basically look the same. Yikes. That even looks worse, actually. And that looks worse because of this rounded top. I'm really bullish on Ethereum, actually. If I can buy Ethereum as close to $200 as I can, I'll be extremely happy. I think in terms of fiat returns, Ethereum will give the largest returns in terms of fiat. So if I do get the chance to buy Ethereum near or below $200, again, I will 100 or 1000% be taking advantage of that. And I, of course, will be putting it in the group. But I haven't put fiat into crypto in a very long time, and I think this is really the play in terms of fiat. Because let's say you buy some Ethereum, right? Let's see what is actually possible with Ethereum. So besides all the FUD with all the ICO crap and all of that, that's just all BS, and that's because this is a bear market and people are getting desperate to kind of like destroy other coins. So let's say $300 is pretty typical for Ethereum. I mean, that's where I remember Ethereum. As you can see all here, it was $300, but that's really the price where I remember Ethereum the most. So $300 is a 32% gain in terms of fiat. So if we go to I really hope this is helpful, by the way. I don't even know how I got on this. But if we go into Bitcoin, right, if you were to put 32%, if you would want to get 32% returns from Bitcoin, we would have to hit 8.6K. And of course, down the road, that's going to happen, right? Of course that'll happen. That's only $2,000 away. But $300 for Ethereum is also extremely cheap. So let's see. July 25th. I don't even know how I got on this topic. I'm sorry, guys. July 25th. Okay, so even better. When Bitcoin was at 8.6K, so that 30% returns, Ethereum was actually at $470. So that would be, at this current price point, over 100% gains. So do you see what I'm saying? That's why in terms of fiat, Ethereum will 100% be a larger return than Bitcoin in terms of straight up fiat. So I'll definitely be buying Ethereum. I really hope it crashes down here so I can buy some, but if not, I'm happy buying it at 227 anyway. I'd love some spot Ethereum at that price. So Bitcoin Cash, we had a very nice play on last night. I actually got this indicator from my personal indicator, or I actually got this signal from my indicator. And where was it? Right here. It flagged me for a potential breakout, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let me take a look at the chart. So I took a look at the chart. If I can find it, that would be super good. And my trading view is slow, that's great. So what I saw on this chart was consolidation right above this support. And if you guys remember, I did this really big long analysis for Bitcoin Cash, and I found that the daily VPVR support was here. We have the 0.79 daily fib confluence, and it was just consolidating here for a couple days. So that was a nice play. We got a few percent out of that when it popped up. It hit take profit 1. We moved our stop loss in profit or break even depending on what you did. And yeah, it was a great trade. I'm really happy with that trade. I am looking to re-long it very soon. This is actually a support and resistance flip, so now may be the time. I'll check my indicator when we wrap this up, but now may be the time. But it really depends if Bitcoin dies here or not. And then we're in a couple alts actually. Icon, all of the, I don't even know why I'm going over this, but you guys can read that what we're in now. And I'm pretty bullish on alts this week actually. And that's because this is usually what happens when Bitcoin is moving sideways like this. Money flow goes into alts, which of course is understandable, right? Because people still need to make money and make a living and accumulate more Bitcoin. So money is going to go into alts. Icon has been between like 9K and 10K sats for a few weeks now, so that's just pure accumulation. So I'm very bullish on Icon, at least for this week. We'll see what happens there. I also want to note that another bearish argument is that Bitcoin actually closed multiple 4-hour candles below the 55 EMA. And if you want to backtest the 55 EMA, it has been a really outstanding place to look for support and resistance. So that is why that's significant. But anything else? Litecoin I saw people tweeting about. Let's see if there's anything going on there. I mean, it's significant that it held that support, actually. Litecoin may be a play today as well. So we have Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. This is a support and resistance flip. You see that? Support and resistance flip. I'll mark it out for you guys. I believe it's right there. Yeah. Cool. Support and resistance flip. See that? Like that a lot. Okay. So possibly Litecoin, EOS. What the heck? I'm actually bullish on a lot of these alts, but what's concerning is that if Bitcoin really, really dumps here, because, you have to think Bitcoin has been consolidating, accumulating, distributing, whatever you want to call it, at this 6,500 level for, 4 days now? 4 or 5 days? So whatever move happens is definitely going to be a significant move. People have been saying that on Twitter for weeks, but it really is true because the 3-day Bollinger Bands are extremely, extremely tight. We haven't had any real price movement in 5 days. So volatility is coming. And me personally, I'm a very safe trader. I trade on confirmation and all that fun stuff. So at that point, having a position is essentially gambling, right? Because there's arguments for both. There's no clear direction it will go. So it's essentially gambling being in a position if the daily is still smack in between this area. So keep that in mind. Don't overexpose yourself if the indicator does give any signals for us to enter, or I give any signals for us to enter, because you're bored and you want to make Bitcoin. Do not do that. I'm telling you, don't do that, please. But I think that's everything I want to talk about this morning. I hope I kind of answered some questions. I went off on a little rant there for whatever reason, but I'm sorry for the delay in videos as well. Like I said, I was very sick, but I'm better now. I'm excited to get back to it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.